Hi there, Skitty Venstati, CEO of OneWire. Welcome to Open Door. Today we're going to go interview my good friend Sallie Krawcheck, who is the CEO of 85 Broads. Prior to that, she was the CEO of Sanford Bernstein. She was then tapped by Sandy Weill to be the head of Citibank's Smith Barney unit. She then became the CFO of Citibank, and then she moved on to Merrill Lynch to run their asset management division. She's an incredible person. You're going to learn a lot. Let's go see what she's up to. I'm here today with Sallie Krawcheck, the new CEO and owner of 85 Broads. Sallie, cannot thank you enough for coming over. Really appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about your family life and where you grew up and what that was like.
I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, to parents who also were from Charleston, grandparents who were from Charleston, and my father, who couldn't really afford it, went into debt to send all of us to the best possible schools he could find. And it was an important lesson for me watching him and my mother sacrifice in order to get us the best education they could.
Then you went to UNC. You were a Moorhead Scholar, which is unbelievable in and of itself. I had a great time at Chapel Hill. There's no doubt about that. And then you went to get your MBA. Tell me about that decision.
Yeah, I loved getting my MBA, and it was I did it for a couple of reasons. One of which was that I felt like I needed the time to mature as a business person. And that while I was at Salomon Brothers, I was in investment banking, I was working my tail off, and I was seeing a lot of different things. The idea of going to business school and sort of practicing different skills, different businesses, take some marketing classes, to take some management classes, to sort of step outside of what I was doing and to sort of try on different careers. So for example, during the summer I worked at Time Magazine and pretty quickly understood that I really belong more on Wall Street or financial services as opposed to back into the publishing world.
And then you went to Sanford Bernstein. When it came to research, there was no better firm on the street. How was that experience?
Oh, I loved it. Now I actually didn't go right to Bernstein outside of business school. And for the viewers who are just out of business school and thinking, I might have made a mistake with my first job, I and almost everybody else coming out of business school that I knew made a mistake with our first job. In fact, I went to DLJ directly coming out of business school as an investment banker. And so I was at DLJ for a period of time, left, and actually stayed home for some time with my then infant son. And it struck me again right before I turned 30. So when I thought, I've wasted my career, I've wasted my life, I should have been something else, I don't know what it was. I was standing in my kitchen one day and I should be a research analyst. So as the story goes, I then sent out my resume to every firm I could think of to ask for a research analyst or associate job, and all of the name brands turned me down. All the name brands turned me down. Lehman Brothers turned me down 3 times. I had 3 rejection letters from Lehman Brothers just to make sure that I knew that I had been turned down. And it was only Sanford Bernstein, which I don't even think I'd heard of, because a guy I knew had once worked there, but it wasn't as well known, and they were the ones who I think took one look at me. And whereas I think some of the other firms took one look at me and the feedback I got was, I'm a new mother, not sure she's going to work very hard, she's married, and all of those things they probably shouldn't have told me that they thought. Sanford Bernstein looked and said, okay, she's there's something there.
So then you went to Sanford Bernstein as an associate and then rose through the ranks incredibly quickly. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, they actually demoted me when I got there. When I moved into research, I think they cut my compensation in half from my last job and made me an associate. I said, okay, fine. I really want to do this. And I sort of think about that time in my career as that I didn't get the memo that said all research analysts were supposed to be positive. My very first piece of research that, as I recall, was published under my name at the top was about American General. And they were moving into the consumer finance business. And if you tore apart the numbers, but you had to tear apart the numbers, you could see that their credit was deteriorating. I actually remember, as I was about to publish this piece, the head of investor relations called me and said, "You don't get the game. This is not how you do it." And I remember sitting in the car on, I think my cell phone, which was probably that big at that point in time, shaking and thinking, what am I about to do? Well, I published on the title of Whoa Nelly, and the company announced that they missed earnings. It probably wasn't 6 weeks later, it may have been 4 weeks later. And that was really the start of digging in deep into the analytics and saying things that other people just weren't saying at that point in time. A year later, 2 years later, Elliot Spitzer came in and started investigating Wall Street for conflicts of interest with research, and we were the firm that had pushed away the investment banking. So our business, which had actually been doing this, did that. I had covered Travelers years earlier, had fought with Sandy in my research, was sometimes negative when, of course, he always thought I should be positive. Gained his respect, and he asked me to come in during the Spitzer scandals, during the Jack Grubman scandals, to turn around their research business and run Smith Barney for him. Did that for 2 years. We, I think we're able to say we turned around the research business. We won awards for it and so on. And then I was CFO of Citi.
Now, today, you are the proud owner of 85 Broads, which is a great organization. Tell us a little bit about that.
Having spent time in these large financial institutions, recognizing the power of diversity, the positive things that happen when there are more diverse leadership teams in place, not because it's a nice to do, because it actually drives business results. Also recognizing, I've spent some time advising startups and so on, recognizing the power of networks, and networks as a means for people to come together and accomplish things. In this case, for women to come together, recognizing that networking is the number one unwritten rule of success in business. Also recognizing there are places in which they're looking for further education that they're not getting in their companies.
What's your vision for the future? Where would you like to see 85 Broads 5 or 10 years out?
Rather than we're going to take the hill, command and control, this is where the network's going, that's a surefire way to have the network disappear. And so what we've actually been doing is spending time with the women and asking them what they want and where they want it to go. Yes, the ultimate goal is to have the network stronger and larger, certainly. But in terms of what is delivered to the women, such that they feel like they are moving forward in their career, we're very open to it. And what we're hearing from them is they are looking for more events to get together, more ways to network online, more education. Because again, the question of, hey, what is this new trend in business, or how do I establish a personal brand? For people to get answers to those kind of questions, sometimes it doesn't happen in the corridor work. Sometimes it happens when you get to a sort of a safe place where you can share experiences, and that's what the women are looking for.
I know you've read Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In. What do you think her book has done for the business world? What else needs to be done? Do you agree with her position?
Well, so we have, a few hours? First of all, my first question is, have you asked any of the guys this question?
I have not, and that's a fair response.
Okay, all right. Well, in the next video, I'd like one of the gentlemen to be asked the question too. What I think Sheryl did an outstanding job of, in addition to starting the conversation, is essentially giving personal tips for women on how to get forward in the world, the business world, that as we have it today. She acknowledges, as we all will, that for continued progress to be made and perhaps to accelerate, that the institutions also need to have some flex. So, for example, 60% of working mothers with minor children report that they wish they had flexibility in their jobs. Now, most companies will tell you they have flexible options. There's a disconnect there. But what I think is going to happen increasingly is smart companies are going to say, geez, if we're losing the women at that stage, not only do we have to spend 90 to 200% of their salary to replace them, but the return on all the investment we made in them for years and years is out the window. So we've lowered our ROI. Smart companies, I think, are going to recognize if you can help women and men get through those tough years, and perhaps have some more flex in the system, real flex in the system and not make it something people are sort of feel bad about. I call it flexibility without shame. That what's really interesting is women just keep going. Women live longer than men do and have this amazing second wind after the kids go away to college.
Okay, it is June 2014. You're back at UNC and you're talking to the class of 2014. What words of wisdom and advice would you give those folks?
I'd tell them I hope they had fun at UNC because it's the most fun 4 years they will ever have. What I tell young people is, it's all about resilience. Your career is not going to go the way you planned. It is impossible at the age of 23 to pick the right industry, the right company, and you can visualize what you're going to be doing in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, but chances are it's going to be something quite different. And so remaining open to opportunities and to change. Also tell them nothing beats hard work in getting there. There aren't many shortcuts at all. I tell them a lot about my success has really been the sense of joy that I've had in my work. It's this sense of great good fortune that really enables one, to my mind, to have a fulfilling career. And that way, rather than always being about, oh no, I didn't get the promotion, it's much more about, I can't believe I got the opportunity to live in Manhattan. I never thought I would when I was younger. I can't believe I got the opportunity to work at this firm or that firm or meet this person or that person. Probably more than anyone else I know. I'm still a kid in a candy store when it comes to, I can't believe I get to know these people. I can't believe I get to think about these things. And all of that stuff, then the little stuff tends to fall away, right? That guy snubbed me, or I didn't get this opportunity. If you recognize the great good fortune of just being here.
Sallie Krawcheck, cannot thank you enough for coming over today. Really, really appreciate it. I wish you continued success. You've done an incredible job throughout your career. You are one impressive individual. Thank you.
Thank you.